Hello and welcome to this presentation about D2L Intermediate and Advanced. What we'll be working with today that's intermediate are some tools that might be new to you or some new ways to use some familiar tools. And the second part about this is the advanced part, which might mean some advanced tool use or some advanced tools, but it might also be really deepening our thinking about the way we use those tools. So that's how we're approaching intermediate and advanced D2L today. I wanted to let you know that we have 4 different team members involved in this presentation today. We have Pauline, Carrie Ann, Laura, and Al. And we also represent the 4 different campuses so that you can access us if you need some support. And there are additional team members in CCIT who can be reached at the website that you see at the corner of the screen. Now, first, we're going to start with a 3-question Zoom poll. I'd like you to go ahead and complete that poll. The first question is, what do you just love about D2L? If you're an intermediate or advanced, you've used D2L at least a little bit, or you have some idea about it, most likely. What are you excited about using, or what do you love about D2L? And the second question is, what problems have you had with D2L? What issues? And the third question gives you some specific things to think about if you've had those particular issues. This can be useful with your students, for instance, starting off with something positive. What do you love? Originally, when we were writing this, we were starting off with, what are the problems? Why don't we start with something positive? There's some things that we enjoy, even if we have some issues, right? So you could see that in a math class, or you could see that in a science class, or in something even in, say, a nursing program that's 3 semesters in. They can respond to what they love about the nursing program so far, for instance. And then the final question, where you have a checklist that look similar to these items. This is giving you that opportunity to determine what are your specific issues. So sometimes when you ask people, so what are the issues? People say, I don't know. I can't think of the words to describe it. So if you give them a few choices and an opportunity for other, then you might be able to capture some issues that people are having. There's also a resource document that you'll find linked in the description for this video so that you can get to resources about all of these bulleted items. So let's think about the first thing. We did get responses that people have had issues with HTML templates breaking, and that they're trying to use those kind of fancy things, but finding that, oh my goodness, I hit delete or I hit backspace, and that took out some of the functionality. What do I do? So this is where I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what you can do if you're using the template and if the template isn't working for you, or if your page seems broken. So I'm going to go ahead and go into my sandbox. If you are a faculty member here at Delaware Tech, then you have a sandbox where you can play and you can try some of these things without breaking any of the courses that you're actually in. So I'm going to go to my sandbox. It's an SBX course. If you do not have an SBX, and one of the ways you can find out if you do, for instance, you may have noticed that I have these tabs at the top, and your SBX is definitely going to be in your all. Mine happens to be in the top corner because I've pinned it, and it was the first course that I pinned, so it comes up first in my list. So that's another little tip for you, that if you are in the habit of pinning courses, they will show up in the order in which you have pinned them. So just to keep that in mind. If you don't have an SBX course, though, please go ahead and submit a ticket so that we can make sure that you have one available to you. Okay, so we'll go ahead and we'll dive right in. We'll get to the content within my sandbox. Now you'll see that I have a little page there, but I'm going to go ahead and make a new one. This was my practice, right? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make a new one. I'm going to go ahead and create a file. And I'm going to go in, and this will be my D2L example. Go into your document template. Now I have a lot of pages in the sandbox. It doesn't matter if you have 2 pages or if you have 38 pages or 100 pages. If you scroll all the way to the bottom, you'll see Browse for a template. Inside Browse for a template, we're going to go to Public Files. Course offering files are those files that are already in your course. If you choose one of those because you say, hey, I already made this page for Module 1 overview, I'm going to just use that page again. When you put that into Module 2 and it's the same page, the computer thinks that it's helping you. D2L thinks that it's helping you, but you will be editing both pages if you reuse the page. I can show you a different way to reuse a page, but don't use it from here unless you're looking to edit that original page. All right, so let's go to Public Files just because we're going to stay on track with this for right now. Public Files. You'll see that there are different versions inside Public Files. Always go with the newest version, which will be the highest number, version 5. If we go there, I'm just going to go to Basic Templates. We have Content Templates. If you are getting started, for instance, you're looking for that instructor information page or some of those student technology supports, that's where you'll get this Getting Started template. In this Content Template, this is where you'll find a basic page. If I click on just the basic page, it will download it for me. So I do want to make sure that I have that box checked, and I click Add. Here we are in the basic page. We can type some new things on there, D2L example, but now I want to add something like tabs. If I want to add tabs, the best way that I can do it, or if I want to add in a little tool inside it, you know, tabs, a table, anything like that, I do want to start off with one of these basic pages. There's a reason for that. We had some people who had said, oh no, because recently we released the version 5. Those are pretty recent. Before we had people, but we did have some people when the version 5 were released, they said, oh no, my schedule page, in particular was the schedule page we heard, is broken. What's going on? I've been using this schedule page for several semesters now, and it's never had a problem. And today it's broken. What's going on? Well, chances are that it's an old version of that schedule page. Now, when Jason makes new pages, new template pages, he tries everything he can to preserve those connections so that your version 2 pages will not break while he's providing access to the newest and greatest. However, sometimes something might happen in the code, so you have to let us know, and CCIT can help you fix that. One thing that you can do to troubleshoot to decide, oh, I wonder what the problem is. If I go into this little symbol here that looks like the less than greater than with a slash in between it, that is the embed code or the source code symbol. When you click on the source code symbol, you will see all this coding, but you really don't have to do anything with that in these HTML templates because it's called WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get. However, if you do want to do a little bit of troubleshooting, if your course schedule page, for instance, that you've been using for several semesters is suddenly broken, take a peek into the code. And right here, you'll see HTML templates, version 5. You might see version 2 or 3 or 4. If you don't see the newest version there, that's probably the reason your page is broken, because you have an old version. So you have the opportunity, you could contact CCIT and we can help you fix that. Or you can upgrade to the newest version and just go ahead and transfer the information over. If you have a lot of information in there, so you really need some help transferring that, go ahead and you can ask CCIT for help. But you might really find as you're transferring that information, just like when you move offices, you consolidate a little bit here, make it a little bit better there, and you might like to just recreate the source. You decide. Okay, so I'm going to close out this code because remember, we're not really thinking about the code. We're going to close that out. But one of the things that I do want to do that's going to help me is I'm going to create a new tab. Now, for me, I've got my side tabs on. You might use yours at the top, which would be like this across the top. I kind of like mine on the side. I started doing that and I like it. Doesn't matter where you are. If you right click on that tab, you can duplicate it. And one of the things that Jason has suggested is now you can have a staging area. If I go back to, or if I'm in this area, you'll see it started a new page, really, because I hadn't saved this one yet. But now, if I want, I can go get those accordions or tabs. Let's put tabs in. Let's do tabs. Okay, so remember, I scroll all the way to the bottom and I browse for that template, public files. This is going to become the mantra, right? Templates 5, content templates. Now in here, I see some elements. Oh, there's tabs. All right, I click the square and click add. Now you'll see that I have this option for some tabs. And this is great because they just exist here already. And I'm just going to go ahead and do 4 tabs. And you'll notice that it says start copy and end copy. Remember when I showed you that source code and how there were lots and lots of things inside of there? Really, the reason that we've put in here horizontal start copy and end copy is because that makes sure that it captures all that background code that we don't want to play with, but we need to make sure we capture. I'm going to hit Control C. You'll also notice, I'm going to hit Control C to copy. You can also right click and copy that way too. Either way works. I'm going to go back up to this page. I'm going to go ahead and create some white space. You'll notice that it may or may not preserve that white space, and that's okay. We just want a little bit of space where we can work here. And I hit Control V. You can also right click paste. So here we are. I have put in my tabs and I'm very happy with it. I'm going to go ahead and hit save and close because I want to show you the functionality of those tabs just in case you haven't used them yet. Here it is. See when I have horizontal tab 1, it says tab 1 of 4, 2 of 4, 3 of 4, and 4 of 4. So now we understand how it works. And actually, it is okay now if I want to. I have to go back into edit HTML to make any changes. But it is okay now if I want to. I can get rid of where it says horizontal start copy, just that part. And now that's going to be fine. But here we are, and I'm looking in my horizontal tab 1. One of the things that Jason recommends to not break it, but let's just pretend we want to break it and see what happens. Well, we won't break it yet, actually. You can highlight it all. If you do, though, sometimes it gets weird if you hit backspace. So if I hit backspace, it worked this time. Sometimes if I get a little crazy, I hit backspace more than once or too many times, it'll really mess up what I've done. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of this again. If you wanna know what I did, I hit Control Z on my keyboard. You can also use the undo. I haven't saved yet, so it didn't keep anything yet, so that's okay. Let's see, I'm going to go ahead and put in here things that are red. All right, so you'll notice I kept that H. One of the reasons I kept that H is just so I'm not breaking my tab. I'll show you more about that. We'll go ahead and we'll put in here blue and, oh, see, I lost my tab. What happened? So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to hit undo and get that tab back. As long as I do it quickly, I am not going to break anything. Undo is my friend. So I want to use undo. If you like keyboard shortcuts, you use Control Z. Control Z. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to type in my green and I'm going to type in yellow. All right. Now one of the things that, and then what I can do here is I can say strawberries, blueberries, maybe I'm hungry. But we'll say grass because we like to be outside for a picnic too. And we'll just leave this one the way it is. One of the things that happens is, for instance, now if I save and close, you'll be able to see how the tab works. Things that are red, strawberries, blueberries, grass, and I had left that one alone. Let's go back into the HTML real quick. Because again, remember, if you break it, one of the ways that you can break it is that if you have the word you want to replace it, you've highlighted it and you hit backspace accidentally twice. That's what I just did. I hit backspace twice and it went away. Now I want to show you what that looks like. I'm going to hit save and close, so it's not going to be able to be fixed. Remember, undo is my friend. I could easily fix this right now. But let's say I did it. I didn't realize I did it. I'll show you what it looks like. So if I hit save and close, what happens now is we've got our things that are red, we've got blueberries, and suddenly we've got yellow grass, which, can happen, but we don't really want it to. So this is what happens when your tabs get broken at the top, and you won't even see that horizontal tab 4 of 4. So this is something that can happen. If it happens, and look, I've only written a few words in here, my best way to fix this is probably to go copy and paste it again, is the easiest way. If I've put a ton of information in here and suddenly I lose a tab, if I hit undo quickly enough, it will replace it for me. If I've put a ton of information in here, I accidentally deleted a tab, I didn't catch it because I was, thinking about too many things at once, and then I realized suddenly my tab is gone, you might need a little help from CCIT. Just let us know that you need some help, put in a ticket, and we will gladly support you. All right. So let's go ahead and go back into our template, because that is the point. We talked about how do you fix it? I forgot to preview it. Oh, wouldn't that be great? Okay, let's look at that real quick, because you might find that very useful. So we'll go ahead and we'll go back in here real quickly, because when I am editing this, edit HTML, there is a valuable button to try. So for instance, let's pretend that I was typing in here, how are you? Something like that. And then I had my things here and I accidentally deleted another tab. What are things that I can do? Or sometimes you put in a link, right? Anything like that. Anytime that I've done something on the page and I want to have an idea of what it looks like, there is this page with a magnifying glass. It's the preview button. If I click that, it will show me what the page will look like. I can make it a little bigger so I can see it better. But here we go. And I go, oh, there are 2 tabs there. But I didn't click save yet. I didn't click save. I didn't click save and close. So if I close this preview box by using that X and I hit the undo button, look, I can get it back. So you can preview first, see how does it look? And then it hasn't hit that save button yet. It won't prevent that undo. So just a few things to be able to think about there. All right, let's go ahead and get back into our presentation. And here we are. Now, another thing that you might do is try adding links. When you're adding links into your course, you want to be able to check that link opening location and if it's within the page or if it's to a new page. And sometimes you might just have to delete that link and reconnect. Something ended up being corrupted in the paste or something like that. So let's go and take a look at what that might look like. So I go back into my little page here. And if I want to provide a link, and we'll go ahead and just do a search for literacy in the higher ed classroom. So now I'm going to get to an article. Here we go. Let's see, digital literacy in higher education. This one is from Adobe. And let's pretend that was something that we wanted to share in the course. I can go up to the URL, capture this link, and hit Control-C to be able to copy it. Then when I go back to the page that I'm editing, I want to go to Edit HTML. Now, one of the things that I always want to do is provide some kind of context. This article provides tips. Now, one of the things that I don't want to do, though, is say, click here. Unfortunately, that can get really confusing if someone's using a screen reader. I do have a bullet in this presentation about accessibility, but I want to talk to you about it throughout because accessibility is so important. So if I say click here, the problem is, one, that it says click because we often don't just click things anymore, right? We tap or we select, or so click isn't always the most accurate word anyway. But when we say click here, also, it is not a very descriptive link. So if it says click here, we don't really know where we're going or what we're doing, and we don't know what's going on. One of the things that happens that D2L is pretty good about is if I wanted to, see if I hit Control V also, the nice thing is that D2L likes to give us descriptive links. So I just hit Control V, I pasted it, and it did give me something that described it. Now, I might not like that. I mean, this is kind of ugly. It tells me what the name of it is, which is kind of nice. It might not always work. This one, it kind of looks okay. So I could decide. But let's do it a little bit different way. So here we go. You can add links in several ways. I could write Adobe article, something like that. I could highlight that. And then you'll see that there is a chain link there to add that link. I don't like using that one. I find it unreliable in where it will link. So you may or may not have noticed, but sometimes your links might just stay right in that same page, and your page looks kind of wonky and weird. If you want to, I like to have people go to a new page just because it doesn't embed a bunch of things. You'll notice that if it keeps opening within the page, you'll have kind of different heading weird things going on, and it just looks strange. We can look at what that looks like if you want. For instance, here's my Adobe article, and I highlight these HTTPS parts because it'll bring that from the link that I copied. And then I hit create. And this is a PDF, so it'll act a little weird anyway. But let's go to save and close. And we're going to see what that looks like. When I click on it, notice that it still says D2L example on the top. And it didn't exactly work. It says that they refused to connect for me anyway. One of the things that I can do is if I want to, and again, I open it inside this, under this. So it's kind of a weird thing, and it acts weird for me. So let's go ahead. We're going to go back to that edit HTML. We're going to go back to that Adobe article. And this time I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to just break that link because it didn't work the way I wanted it to anyway. So I'm going to go ahead, break that link. I'm still going to highlight it because I like the words that I typed. If you want to type new words, you don't have to highlight any words, but I like to go to this chain link, and I'll show you why. This is a quick link. In a quick link, because I'm putting in a website, I'm going to choose a URL, but look at all the other things that I can link. But I'm going to do a URL. Inside my URL, here's where I'm going to paste that link right there. See this title, Adobe article? Those are the words that I typed. Here's the difference. Target. The whole window. It'll change this whole window and completely change you from being on the example that you were using, that D2L example, and then take it to a whole new window for this link. The only thing I don't like about that is then it's using the back button or things like that. And sometimes the back button doesn't always behave the way you want it to. So if you open it in the same frame, that's what it was doing before. Is the frame is that little box where all that information is. If you picture the page being kind of broken up, here's your stuff at the top, and we have kind of those margins on the side or whatever. But this is a frame at the bottom. So we have at least a couple of frames going on in our D2L, a little bit more than that. But if we have the top, and then if we think about the bottom as a frame, it's just replacing the image inside that frame, which again can get messy. I like to make sure new window is chosen. It's going to open that in a new tab. So I can go between the two tabs, and you already noticed I like to use a couple of tabs. So that is comfortable for me because then I can go, okay, I saw what I need to see. I want to go back to what I wanted, and I know exactly what I want. I'm going to go to this tab instead of hitting the back button and not always knowing for sure where I'm going to end up. So I'm going to go ahead and hit insert. One of the neat things is now when I click on it, I can do this little preview, this open link, and it shows me where it is. It opened it up. So I'm like, okay, my link works. So if your link doesn't work, you can always hit preview to try to decide if it's even a good link. Maybe you forgot a couple letters out of it, or cut that off when you were copying and pasting. If I save it, this is how it'll behave now. Remember how before it opened up and it said D2L example at the top? Watch what happens now. It opens it up in a new window. This is actually that article, instead of it trying to embed it in there. That's the other reason sometimes your links don't work. Sometimes they're protected links. The companies, whatever the other companies are, don't want you to open them up inside your LMS. They want you to open them up. So your link might be fine. There might be nothing wrong with it. But because it opens up inside a frame, inside D2L, it won't do it. The other company will refuse to connect for you. Remember how it said Adobe refused to connect? That's why. It says, no. We want better credit. We don't even want you to think about trying to take credit for our stuff by putting it in the frame in your learning management system. And even though we weren't trying to do that, it might have appeared that way. So this is better to identify our sources. All right. So that gives you a main idea of if a link doesn't work, it could be because it's inside that window. And again, eventually, if it really isn't working, you might have to delete the link. Remember how I unlinked it? And then just try to reconnect and see if that works. And if you're still having some problems, reach out to CCIT for a little bit of help. But I think you should feel pretty prepared now to make sure those links are viable. All right, now we've got adding videos. Now, adding videos, there's some really easy ways to be able to add videos in D2L that I think, they're okay, but there are some better ways to do it too. So let's talk about this. So this is going to be that intermediate advanced with a little bit of troubleshooting. All right. So if we go ahead and go back to our page, we're going to go here. And actually first, I'm going to go ahead and get my little YouTube video. And I like to look at Brightspace Tutorials. If you need some support, Brightspace is D2L. D2L is Brightspace. They're the same thing. So I look up Brightspace Tutorials often in YouTube because that is where I'm getting the most recent videos from the company that created the LMS, the learning management system. So I can even go here to this little magnifying glass. If I go up to this one, I'm searching all of YouTube. So I'll get other stuff too. But if I'm inside Brightspace Tutorials and I do this little magnifying glass, which is funny because when it's not clicked, there's no line. So it feels like you can't search. But you click that and then it shows up. And maybe I want to do attendance. So I want to know how I can create a seating chart. But look, that video is 5 years old. They have changed it so much that might not even be reasonable anymore. The nice thing is that you can see how old things are too. So instead, let's pretend that we're looking for our quick eval. All right, I'm going to go ahead and pause that video because if you want to take a peek at it, you know how to find it. All right, here we go. So let's go ahead and we're going to go back to our little page here. I want to show you from content. You can easily from content upload, create. You can create a link. Remember how I just showed you the link? But it'll be a bare link. There won't be any information. There won't be any context. So there's just this link that students would click on. And they're like, I don't know why, but okay, fine, I'll click on this. We want to give them some instruction that goes with whatever it is. Look, I can add video or audio right here. All I have to do is put in that URL and it's going to put it in there right away for me. However, the students don't know why they're watching that video. What am I doing with this? And sure, you might be talking to them about that video when you're doing your synchronous meeting, Zoom, or in your face-to-face. The LMS supports your face-to-face instruction as well, because it's a great place to help students review or revisit materials, or goodness gracious, to preview materials before they come to you. That it's possible, it's here. So you could put just a video up here, but I'm going to recommend you don't. And I'll show you why. So let's go and we're going to close this because we're like, we don't want to do that. This is what we're going to do instead. One nice thing is when I am in the classic mode, I can search. Here's the difference. See how I have a search here so I can find a page? Look, here is the content experience. Right now, the new experience is off. There are two different experiences in D2L. I can turn it on, and you'll notice that my page will change. Now, do you see how it has more buttons on the side? And inside those buttons are those examples, right, that I've created. But I don't really have a way to search for anything here. And some people really like the look of the new experience. They like these buttons on the side. They think that's kind of fun. Some people don't. So that's really up to you. At CCIT, we're recommending that you build in Classic, though. You build the course in Classic, even if you want students to see it in new. Here's the difference. If I change this back to Classic, and what that does is I say the new experience is on, turn it off. Why do you want to turn it off? I'm not telling you. And I can just hit done. I don't have to give a reason. It's okay. Now here we are, and I am in the Classic version. When you build in new, there's still a couple of glitches here and there we have found at CCIT. When you build in the Classic experience, when you create your course in the Classic experience, we see fewer of those issues. However, once I've created in my Classic, all I have to do is switch it over to new, and it switches the students into new. Students don't get to choose. They get whatever we tell them they're going, whatever version we tell them or tell D2L to deploy. So that's not anything that you would need to be concerned with. It's just deciding which one you want to use. Now, if you can't find a page and you're in the Classic, you can actually search for it, D2L. And I'll show you, here are your D2L pages. So I lost my D2L example. I don't know why. So now I can click on D2L example, and that's how I can find it. I want to edit my HTML. And I'm going to put a video in there. Now, there's a couple of ways I can do this. I can go to here, which is the insert stuff icon. This one has, it looks like a circle, a square. Those are the insert stuff. If I click on that, it opens up this box, and there's lots of things that I can put in there. I can add a video note. I can add a Flickr. I can insert a link, or I can enter embed code. I'm actually going to enter embed code now. And the reason I'm doing that is because my video will play directly in the system if I enter an embed code. But there's an extra click I have to do to find it. So let's go back to my YouTube videos. And I'm going to click share. Now this is often what we share, this link, but we're going to go up to this embed. Remember we had kind of that less than greater than thing going on? You're going to notice there's a whole bunch of words over here. The neat thing is I really don't have to drag and click or anything like that. All I have to do is click, and it will automatically highlight it all. I didn't drag or click or anything. And I can just click copy from here or Control C. But now I go back to my D2L page. Here's my embed code. I hit paste. I don't even have to understand this stuff. D2L is automatically going to make sense of it for me the best it can, right? And put it in there. And as long as all I did was just click there, and so it highlighted everything for me, I won't miss anything. If I started trying to drag and highlight and all this other stuff, I might miss something. So I just did it the simpler way. Hit next. It gives me a preview. This is what your video is going to look like. And I'm going to insert that. Now, here is the thing though. Remember we talked about accessibility? One of the things that you also want to do, now this is a YouTube video. There's some other videos that you might embed though that wouldn't be YouTube. YouTube is one of the easier ones, but let's pretend there's a different one that you might embed. It doesn't have this watch on YouTube link, or doesn't have this watch someplace else link. One of the things you want to do is notice this is a little bitty screen. And depending upon how good my eyes are, I may or may not be able to watch this very well. Maybe some of the things, like remember I had words at the beginning, maybe by the time I get to these words, I'm like, oh, those are kind of small. See where it says find and prioritize. Maybe I'm having trouble seeing that. So it's good to provide that direct link at the bottom. I type in the words direct link, and then now this is when I go and I hit the little X here because I'm going to share, I'm going to get that traditional link that we have. I'm going to copy that. And I'm going to go ahead and go back to my D2L. And remember, I can paste it if I want to, but that's really ugly. And if I have a screen reader, if I'm someone who can't see that, if I have a screen reader, it's going to go HTTPS:/. Do we really want anyone to have to listen to that? We don't. So instead, we're going to go up to our little chain link. We're going to go to URL. And we're going to go to URL and hit paste there. Now, I'll tell you what I do after I've put in that video link is I really like to make sure it's very clear. This is the video you're going to get. So I go back to the original video and I copy and paste the title of it that I find on that page. The main reason why is I'm trying to remove any confusion. This is the video I said you would find. And look, the title matches. So that there isn't any confusion that we're in the same place. So you don't have to be cute with the name. You don't have to be creative. Just use the name that's there. Insert. So now it's very clear to anyone that here is this YouTube video. You're welcome to watch it here in this player. If it didn't have a YouTube link, look, here's the quick eval link here. So you have the opportunity. And remember, if I am visually impaired, I might not see this YouTube link anyway. But my screen reader will tell me that this is a link for me. And then I can make it bigger and maybe watch it with a magnifier. Maybe I'm not blind, but I'm just a little bit impaired, things like that. Or again, maybe I don't have my glasses today, so I just want to watch it bigger. There are lots and lots of things. Or when there are those closed captions, the closed captions will show up here small. If I watch the video in YouTube, maybe they'll appear larger for me. So those are some different reasons you would want to make sure that you're not just putting in a bare link. The other idea, this is what else you would do. Put in the description here. Watch the video about quick eval in D2L to find out how you can save time as an instructor when you need to assess student work. Now, that helps you know why you would watch this video. Otherwise, quick eval, I'm not really sure what that is. I don't really know what that means. Now it provides that purpose. If you're using this for students, you might even say, here is your preview of what you're going to have to do for your assignment. I might say, be sure to note 3 steps in the process, because maybe their assignment, their discussion board, or their assignment, their essay that they're going to write will be describing the 3 steps in the process. Or in the discussion, we'll be talking about which step do they feel is pivotal and cannot be forgotten. It's that way that you're preparing them. But if I would have just put this link up there, they would have no idea why they're even watching it. And most of them probably wouldn't, because I don't have a purpose for watching it other than my internal drive. And I have a lot of things going on right now. So I might have to make choices. If you give me a reason and tell me why, what I'm paying attention for, this helps. The other thing you can do also is you can, I have seen lots of people do this. You can give an indication it's a 2:57, 2-minute 57 video. And you can say, watch the video. You can say 2:57. And that way people also know, okay, it's a 3-minute commitment. I can do that. So those are a few ways that you can use videos here, fix videos if they're not quite working, and be able to. And again, we can preview the page to make sure that it's going to look the way that we want it to. And there's my video. Close. I did want to show you one other thing that you can do. And remember, we're going to make a little bit of white space. Oh, by the way, look, I had this article here. Sometimes we'll put in an article and then we'll start to type some more. And we go, oh, why is it blue? Why is it linking that? Here's the deal. When I'm on this article and it's blue, it's highlighted, anything I type is going to be blue. If I hit my right arrow button, now I can type whatever I want, and it's not going to be part of the link. So there's a little tip to it. Okay, but let's go ahead and here's my space. I'm going to go back into, remember I had that little place where I was playing. So I'm going to go back into there. This time I'm going to go select a document template. I'm going to go for the video box because I do think the video box looks cool. So you decide if you like the video box or not. I like it, so I do want to show it to you. Scroll down, browse for a template, public files, version 5, content templates. And now I'm going to look for images and videos and click the box and add. Now this time it says replace because remember I just had that tabs template in there. I don't have to save that tabs template though. It's available here. So I'm going to go ahead and replace it because this is just my workspace. And you'll see that inside here, there's lots of choices with adding images, but I want to get right down to this videos part. So what happens is we have this, I like this pretty blue box. It makes it really easy to recognize that there's a video. So I go to my video layout, start copy, and go down to my video layout, end copy. Control C, and I'm going to go back up to my page, Control V. Now, here it is. Here's my video. Here is the challenging part. If I click over here and see it, you can't really tell if it did anything. But if I click over here on this side and hit backspace, my video place went away. Backspace isn't really a good friend here because there's a lot of code that it just deleted all at once that was attached to that video. So I'm hitting Control Z to undo. And watch the difference though. If I click over here, and you can't really tell, but I clicked over here and I hit delete. Now, all I did was delete that video because of the way the code is happening in behind there. Now, do you remember when we went to the video, we went share, we said embed, click, and copy. Now we go ahead and we go back up here and we're going to go to that insert stuff. It's still the same thing, but I'm putting in this pretty blue box just so it looks really nice. And it's obvious that there's a video. Click enter embed code. I'm going to paste it in there and hit next. Here it shows you, okay, your video was successful. If this is broken here, it means that your link is bad. It's not going to work. So this is a good way to see that video. Insert. Now look, it put it right in there. But I'd like you to notice that this is already set up to cue you to put in that accessibility information. So right now we'll look, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to highlight. Yeah, see what happened? I kind of dragged it around. All right, there we go. I have this and I can break that link. So I clicked on it so I can break that link. I'm going to highlight it. I'm going to go up to the chain link at the top. I want to do the chain link in that editor. And I'm going to go to that URL because it's a link. URL is a link. I'm going to go back to my YouTube, close out my embed code. I'm going to go to share, capture that YouTube link, and then I'm going to go into my D2L page, paste it into the URL, and make sure it goes to a new window because it just works better that way for a lot of the things that you want to do. And also for organizing people. Insert. And then now you can save and close. If you want to preview it and see what it looks like first, you can always preview it with that little magnifying glass. Make it a little bit bigger. You can see this is what the video looks like without the little blue box. And this is what the video looks like with the blue box. It's preference, what you like better. Just always remember to put this direct link at the bottom, even if you embed it's straight into the page. All right, we can, and one of the things you can do in preview is you can see how these links work. So you can decide, okay, let's try this. Oh, good, okay. So it did take me to this quick eval, but do you know what I noticed? I noticed that direct link, it says create a file and insert stuff. It doesn't say the quick eval one. So I forgot to edit that. So I need to go back in, just real quick, edit that, go back to my little chain link. And here, instead of this create a file and insert stuff, go back to my little video. And I'm going to capture the title because I like that to be consistent. So put that in there. Ta-da! Update. Save and close. So now, again, it is up to you, your preference, which you like better, that link that's embedded or the video that's embedded in there, or the box. And again, if you're using that video box, just make sure you carefully negotiate it. And if you're really still having problems, of course, please reach out. We will definitely offer you support. And for some of these things, like adding these videos, things like that, you might not need to wait for CCIT. For instance, if it's 10 o'clock at night and you're saying, oh, I'm trying to put this video in and there's no one in CCIT, you can reach right out to D2L and Brightspace for help. They are there 24/7. And I'll show you that real quickly, just to remind you how you can get there. When you are in your little diamond here in your home, see, mine says my home when I mouse over it. When you're in your home, you can see on the side, for instance, I have this Learning with Technology one that pops up. Then underneath of it is this Brightspace support. When you get to the Brightspace support, you have to click in the middle here, find answers here. But if you click there, it'll take you to a web page. And at this web page, you can type in your answers and they might have it available just easy peasy like that. So you don't even have to worry about interacting with anyone and you can get your answer, which is very nice. But you might find, oh, if I type in here and I go grading, here are some articles about grading. Okay, these don't really help me. I'm going to go ahead and chat with support. You can click chat with support, and then you type in your name and your role and a short description of what's going on, and you can start chatting. Then someone's there for you 24/7, any time of the day. Or one of the things, if you're someone you like to talk to somebody, here's the D2l Helpline, 1877. Look, it's all right here in this handy dandy widget that's on your page. A 1877 number, 24/7 availability, and you can call them directly. You can get support as well. So there's lots of ways for you to be able to feel supported in your experiences with Brightspace and D2L. Some other tips here. So we've got just a few other tips here for you. One of them, remember we talked about accessibility, and I wanted to make sure we talked a little bit about that. I do want to show you how you can have a page, how you can check accessibility inside your D2L page. Now, if you're using the templates, 99.9% of the time, everything's going to be accessible for you if you stick with the patterns that are in the templates. For instance, you're not changing the colors around, you're keeping the font and the size of the font. If you stick with that design, if you find that that is suitable for whatever you need, then your page is going to be accessible 99.9% of the time. The only reason I don't say 100% of the time is because, there's always maybe something, there was an extra accidentally hit delete or something that was embedded, because if you are embedding new images, for instance, you're going to need to make those accessible. I'm going to show you a little bit about how to do that. All right, so if I go back into my page, let's go back into my sandbox. I do have an accessibility example. Let's see what that looks like. I might have cleaned that up. I don't know. Let's see. Here's my accessibility example. You'll be able to see that there are some different things in there. And I tried to get creative. I put in lots of different things. This was an addition before. I've got some different, fonts that I'm trying. I'm thinking, hey, that's kind of fun to get attention. And I've got, some different color, things like that in there. I put a table in there, that's pretty good. I've got an image, I'm trying to keep all this interest for my students. Let's see how I can check to see if all of my students will be able to enjoy this page. I'm going to go to Edit HTML. And I am going to go to accessibility. Now, the way I do that is see this eyeball with a check mark. So it's looking at my accessibility. I'm going to click that, select that, and then look. Apparently, I have 4 issues when I look at my accessibility checker. So one of the things that it does, we can make this just a little bit bigger. You can see in my accessibility checker, my large text must have a contrast ratio of 3:1. Now, That's really complicated. But what that means really is that it's a big piece of the bigger letters. But the problem is they're light colored. You can't see them is what that means. So when it says 3 to 1, basically it means they need to be darker. Now that doesn't necessarily mean that they have to be black. Black is safe. Black definitely works. But look, here we go. We have these words, and maybe there's just a darker color. They may be this color. Let's see, save. And then now let's see my accessibility checker. This was dark enough. So it doesn't mean you can't use color, but it just means that you need to really be selective of it. I do want to point out the accessibility checker is fabulous, like 95% of the time, but it might miss something. So you also want to consider, for instance, color blindness. Sometimes accessibility checker will think about that, but if I used red and green text, and if there was a real reason that something was highlighted in a different color, someone who's colorblind, they might not be able to notice the difference. Or if it's just slightly gray or slightly differently colored, then there might not be enough of a contrast for someone to notice if there's a real reason. Now for this one, it's not as big of a deal. Can you see me now? I want to make that pretty. If I can't tell that that is like this brownish orange color, does it really detract from my understanding? No. But if I said vocabulary words are highlighted in a different color in this paragraph, and I could not tell that there was a different color, then that's a problem. So that's when you underline words, or you might italicize words to help them stand out for someone who might not recognize the colors. There are so many things to think about, and we're just trying to do our very best. And also be responsive to a student. If a student is brave enough to tell you, hey, I don't see the vocabulary words in here, not for you to, that is your opportunity to help them and to recognize, oh, well, okay, I'll add underlines if it's something that you didn't catch before. It's just being responsive to our students and to their needs and really helping them the best that we can. All right. Then it gets into this table, and so we know that we need to have tables that have headers that are applied to a column or row. You'll see a lot of problems with headers, things like that. Headings must be applied in a sequential order. So this is another issue that my word here, I decided that that was a heading. And this is heading 4. You can see that it's a heading. But this one is heading 1. So I have a 4 right under a 1. So try to think about your classic outlines, right? That you have number 1, and then underneath you have an A, and then underneath that you have a bullet, whatever. It has to be in that kind of sequential order because it helps people with screen readers. It helps in that organization. People who use screen readers regularly can go so fast through the page. And you know how we skim a page? We skim a page and we see where the headings are and the subheadings, and it gives us a good idea of how things are organized. That's what a screen reader can do for someone. And they can click, click, click. But if the page is not organized in a sequential manner, then that screen reader cannot provide the same support to the individual as if we were able to prepare the materials so that the screen reader would be able to read it appropriately for the user. So that's something else to think about. So this is how the accessibility checker can help you. Now, I do want to show you something. Here we go. If I go, remember I have all these pages. I'm going to go to a template, and I'm going to go to this template where I'm trying to find a table. I want to put in a table. So I'm going to my public version 5. I'm going to go to my content templates, and I'm trying to find the table. Do you see one that says table? I don't think there's one that says table, but I do know that there's a table I can insert. So it's actually hiding in this elements page. Let's see if that's where it is. We're going to go elements. And I need to replace it. Remember, I'm not, needing to save that page. This is just my play around page. So you can see there's lots of different elements that we can use. Ordered list. We've got block quotes, jumbotrons. Look, a table. There we go. It was inside this elements. So I'm going to go to the table start copy, and I'm going to go to the end copy. I remember how when I copied something from the template, and I put it in there. It just went and it was beautiful, easy peasy, right? I'm going to go ahead and go in here. This table is kind of screwy. So I'm going to go ahead and go in here and make some white space. I'm going to go ahead and paste my table. And oh goodness, it's not pretty. It doesn't look the way that, it doesn't have the blue at the top, for instance. There is a reason why. This page, can you guess? What do you think it is? That's right. I did not start off with the basic page. This page was created just randomly. I just opened a page and started typing and inserting pictures and things like that. This is not this is not a version 5 page, right? Here's another way I can check that. See where there's that source code? I'm going to click it. And look, do you remember at the top, it had all that stuff and it actually said HTML templates V5? I don't have any of that. So that means that I created this page without all of that background information that told it what to do with the information from the templates. So if you just create a regular page without creating, for instance, a basic page first or some other kind of page, and you try to paste in an element, that's one of the reasons it might not work, is because it doesn't have all of that header code that it needs, all that code that we don't look at, we don't want to mess with. So that's why my table didn't work. Bulk date management. So this will be how you can change your dates in your course easily. This is something that I learned from Carrie that I think is just a beautiful lifesaver. So let's go ahead. We'll go back into my little course here and we can go into admin. So pretend I'm in my course. Now this is the course that, for instance, you have that either you copied or your chair copied it over for you. And now it's in there and it has all these assignment dates that need to be changed. So if I go to admin and I go to course admin, so I'm admin on the nav bar and then course admin. Then I'm going to see in there, there's a manage dates. Manage dates, if I'm in category, is under site resources. If I'm under name, then of course it's M for manage dates. When I get to manage dates, then I will have the opportunity to change the dates in my course. So I'm going to go ahead and look, this is usually what the page will look like. And I can decide to filter it by the tools, by specific tools, and I can only change the assignments if I want to. I don't know if that's useful or not. Normally you'll see a course start and end because you have a course that you're actually changing. Mine's my sandbox, so I don't have anything there. But I do have some dates in here. But what you want to do is make sure you hit this this box. If you do not check the box, then if you go bulk edit dates or bulk offset dates, nothing happened. And you go click, 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 click. Nothing's happening. It's very frustrating. So you have to make sure that you click this so that now you actually have things to work with. You want to go to bulk offset dates. And this is why. Now you have your due date, your start date, your end date, and other activity dates. You can offset by direction and range, which says you can move it forward or backward by days or by hours. I don't know why you do hours, or you can calculate the range between two dates. So if you know that your course if you know that your course opened in the spring and it was, I don't know, March 29th when it opened in the spring, then you could say that you wanted it to advance to September 29th. Look at that. It's going to offset all of my dynamic dates, and I'll tell you what that means in a second. All of my dynamic dates by 153 days. So it's going to take everything and push it forward by 153 days. And then I click save, and it will move all of my dates for me. There we go. So now it moved everything, which for me, there aren't a ton of dates in here because this is my sandbox. But what that does is it took all of those things when you have content, and remember how sometimes you have content and you can edit the properties in place. And now I can add dates and restrictions. I can add a start date. I can add a due date. I can add an end date. Those dates, all of those dates that you've put into places like that, or when you've created an assignment and you've been able to, in a new assignment, you've been able to affect the availability of dates, and you have a start date or you have an end date in your assignments. It will move all of those for you. You don't have to do it. Yay! Now, the only difference is, though, if you have a course schedule that, for instance, you used a template. Let's see if we have anything like that. We're going to go to our content. Because I'm in the classic, I can search schedule. Let's see. Oh, I guess I have something here. We'll do course schedule. See what I did with that. I was playing with it. So now, see how it says January 4 to 9? It didn't change that. So there might be a couple of places that you still need to change some dates, but that probably just saved you a lot of time knowing how to bulk manage your dates. Just thinking. Now there's one more thing that we have had some people, not everybody, but some people have said, oh no, there are 2 chapter 1 quizzes in my course. But unfortunately, they don't notice it until half their class has taken this chapter 1 quiz, and the other half have taken this one. So now you have to figure out how to consolidate those grades and how to be able to fix the problem. And it's so much messier. But if you notice that at the beginning that you have extra columns in your gradebook or duplicate columns in your gradebook, we can fix it. The reason that happens sometimes is when your chair or your instructor coordinator copy over the course. It may have been your chair copied it once and your instructional coordinator copied it again, or maybe the chair was doing you a favor, copied it, and then you copied it without realizing that it was already there, or some things just were grabbed. If you check your gradebook first before your course begins, before you start editing the instructor information page and updating it, or updating that course calendar, or bulk managing your dates, before you do any of that, check that gradebook to make sure that the columns are all where they should be. Now, this is my sandbox, so there's not a whole lot of grading in there, but I will show you what I have. Grades, and just to show you what the columns look like. So here are I have things that are samples, but not, you could tell nobody finishes anything in my course. There aren't any real students either. So, I guess that's why. But you have all of these here. When I look at this, I might go, oh my gosh, I have 2 L and Ls. And that could be confusing. So I can look and see, somehow were they misnamed, or those are things that if you catch them early, those are things that are really easy to fix. Maybe we have to reset the course. Maybe we just have to reset the course and just put in a whole blank copy, which if you've already made all these other changes, that's not as happy of a solution. But that's just why you might see some things, or when components were copied, maybe one has been updated and then something happened when it came over that's not hidden anymore, but it still pulled it over, that you might need to delete it somehow. Some things you'll find are not easy to delete, and it's because maybe they're attached to a rubric or they're attached to your gradebook somewhere, and you have to break that connection before you can delete them. And if you need some help, let us know. Feel free to reach out to CCIT through a ticket, or through D2L, because they can help with things like that too. So finally, to remind you of resources that you have a Lunch and Learn series that is offered from CCIT. These happen live a couple of times a month, but they're also recorded. So if you're not able to make them, then you can still watch those resources. They're still available for you. We also have coffee talks. Those are available a couple times a month. Those are Friday mornings. And Lunch and Learns are typically Wednesdays at 11, currently anyway. And then you have that Brightspace community that we talked about. You do have to create your account in there, but just use your Deltek credentials, and you'll be fine. And again, that Brightspace help chat, that's what I showed you when you go to the website. You can do the little chat with an agent, or you can call them their 1877 number. So what I'd like to do is say thank you. Thank you so much for coming today and for taking part in this D2L kind of advanced area. And we hope to work closely with you if you need us. Take care.